Noah Carter secretly traveled to his grandfather, William Carter's farmhouse after years of no contact. Instead of welcoming him, Grandpa locked every door, nailed the windows shut, and warned him that if his mother found out he was there, neither of them would survive the night. Then someone knocked on the front door. The voice sounded exactly like Noah's mother, but Grandpa insisted, "That's not your mother." Moments later, the chain on the front door snapped, and something walked inside. The sound echoed through the farmhouse like a gunshot. Grandpa didn't hesitate. Bang! The revolver exploded in his hand. The bullet tore straight through the front door. For a split second, everything went silent. Then, a woman's laughter drifted through the hallway. Soft, gentle, almost affectionate. "Noah, you've grown so much." My blood froze. It was my mother's voice. Exactly my mother's voice. Grandpa grabbed my jacket. "Run!" We sprinted toward the staircase. Behind us, the front door slowly creaked open. I couldn't stop myself. I looked back. A woman stepped inside. She wore my mother's favorite dark blue coat. Her hair, her smile, her face, everything looked identical except her eyes. There were no pupils, only two endless black holes. She smiled wider than any human mouth should. "Noah, I've missed you." Grandpa shoved me upstairs. "Don't answer her." I stumbled into the hallway. The old wooden floor groaned beneath my feet. Behind us, footsteps, slow, calm, patient. Tap, tap, tap. She wasn't chasing us. She already knew where we were going. Grandpa unlocked a small attic door hidden behind an old bookshelf. I'd never seen it before. "Hurry!" We climbed inside. He slammed the hatch shut, then pushed a heavy wooden cabinet in front of it. Only then did he finally breathe. The attic smelled of dust, old paper, and something metallic. Blood. My flashlight from the car was still in my backpack. I switched it on. The beam revealed dozens of cardboard boxes, old furniture, broken picture frames, and one wall covered completely with newspaper clippings. Missing persons, disappearances, unexplained deaths. Every article came from Grace Hollow. Some dated back to the 1970s. Others, only a few months old. My heart raced. What is all this? Grandpa stared at the wall. "They're everyone who opened the door." A loud knock came from below. Knock, knock, knock. The voice floated upstairs. "William, you can't hide him forever." Grandpa ignored it. Instead, he walked toward an old wooden chest. It was secured with 3 rusty padlocks. His hands shook as he unlocked them. Inside were hundreds of photographs. Every single one showed the same woman, standing outside different houses, different years, different clothes, but always the same face. My mother's face. I flipped through them. 1981, 1982, 1983, 1984, 1985. She never aged. Not even a single wrinkle. I looked at Grandpa. "How is this possible?" He swallowed hard. "Because that thing is older than this town." The knocking downstairs stopped. Silence. Then came something far worse. Footsteps, slowly climbing the stairs. One step, another, then another. Grandpa's face turned pale. "No, it shouldn't be able to find this room." The footsteps stopped directly beneath us. Then a long fingernail scraped across the attic hatch. Screech! The sound made my teeth ache. Then my mother's voice whispered, "So, this is where you're hiding." I backed away. My flashlight shook in my hands. Grandpa slowly reached into the wooden chest again. This time he pulled out a thick leather journal. Its pages were yellow with age. On the front, written in faded ink, were 4 terrifying words. How to kill it. The words on the leather journal refused to leave my mind. How to kill it. My hands trembled as I reached for the book. Grandpa grabbed my wrist. "Don't read it too fast." "What?" "It changes people." I stared at him. What does that even mean? He looked exhausted. Every person who's tried to hunt it became obsessed. Outside the attic hatch, silence. No footsteps, no whispering, nothing. That somehow felt even worse. Grandpa slowly opened the journal. The first page was written in faded black ink. If you're reading this, it already knows your name. A cold chill crawled down my spine. The next page contained dozens of handwritten dates: 1883, 1884, 1885, 1886, 1887, 1888. Each date had a name beside it. Every name ended with one word. Taken. I swallowed. What is this? Grandpa sighed. My family has guarded this town for 6 generations. What? My grandfather fought it. His father fought it. And now, he looked at me. It's our turn. Lightning flashed outside. For a brief second, the attic window lit up. Someone was standing outside, watching us. I spun around. The window was empty again. My breathing became uneven. I saw someone. Grandpa didn't even look. I know. You know? It wants you to keep looking. He turned another page. A crude drawing covered the paper. A tall woman, standing beside a front door. Underneath the drawing were 5 words. It cannot create memories. I frowned. But it knew my favorite pie. Grandpa nodded. It steals memories. It can't make new ones. Another page. Never invited inside. Another. Never answer if it calls your name twice. Another. If you see its eyes, don't blink. I looked up. This sounds impossible. Grandpa quietly closed the journal. That's because no one has ever killed it. A loud crash echoed downstairs. Glass shattered. The creature had entered the kitchen. Then another crash. It wasn't searching anymore. It was destroying the house. As if it had grown tired of pretending. Dust drifted from the attic ceiling. The old farmhouse suddenly froze, his face drained of color. No. What? He slowly pointed toward the far corner of the attic. There, hidden beneath a dusty blanket, was an old baby crib. I walked closer. Inside lay dozens of children's toys, a tiny teddy bear, wooden blocks, a faded blue blanket. Then I noticed something stitched into the corner. NC, my heartbeat stopped. This was mine. Grandpa nodded. You were born in this house. I stared at him. My mother told me I was born in Boston. She lied. Another lie, another secret. Grandpa looked like he wanted to say more, but before he could, a voice came from directly behind us. Not below, not outside, inside the attic. Soft, calm, almost amused. Noah, I slowly turned. The attic hatch was still locked. The window was closed. There was no one there. Yet the voice came again, this time only inches from my ear. You finally came home. I spun around. No one. Nothing. Grandpa's eyes widened in horror. It found another way in. Then, from the darkest corner of the attic, 2 black eyes slowly opened. The 2 black eyes never blinked. They simply stared at me from the darkness. My flashlight trembled in my hand. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then Grandpa whispered, "Don't shine the light directly into its eyes." What? It hates the light, but it loves being seen. The creature smiled. Its face slowly emerged from the shadows. It still looked exactly like my mother. Except now, its skin was beginning to crack. Thin black veins spread across its cheeks like broken glass. Its smile stretched wider, far wider than any human face could. Noah, you've always been curious. Come closer. My legs wanted to move. I don't know why. Something about its voice felt comforting. Safe. Like every happy childhood memory wrapped into one sentence. Grandpa slapped the flashlight out of my hand. It crashed onto the wooden floor. The spell was broken. I gasped for air. It almost had you. What was that? It doesn't control your mind. It convinces you to surrender it. The creature laughed. I don't need to force him. He belongs to me. Grandpa suddenly opened the journal again. He flipped several pages before stopping. His eyes widened. I was wrong. What? It isn't hunting you. It's trying to bring you home. Before I could ask what he meant, the creature disappeared, not slowly, instantly. 1 second, it stood before us. The next, it was gone. Silence filled the attic. Then, a child's laughter echoed downstairs. I froze. Did you hear that? Grandpa nodded. It changes forms. It always starts with someone you trust. The laughter stopped. A little boy called from below. Grandpa? My heart skipped. That voice, it sounded exactly like me. When I was 6 years old, Grandpa closed his eyes. It found your memories. We're leaving. Grandpa grabbed the journal and shoved it into my backpack. What about the front door? We're not using the front door. He walked toward the opposite side of the attic. Hidden beneath an old rug was another wooden hatch. I'd never noticed it before. Grandpa pulled it open. A narrow ladder disappeared into darkness. Where does that go? The basement. I stared at him. The basement? We're in the attic. I know. This house wasn't built normally. The tunnels were added after the first attacks. Without another word, he climbed down. I followed. The passage smelled damp, old, like earth that hadn't seen sunlight in decades. When we reached the bottom, I realized this wasn't an ordinary basement. The walls were made of rough stone. Ancient symbols had been carved into them. Some were filled with dried red paint. Others looked burned. What is this place? Grandpa ran his hand across one of the symbols. My great-grandfather built this. He believed these markings slowed it down. A sudden scream echoed through the tunnel. Not human, not animal. Something in between. Dust fell from the ceiling. It's angry, Grandpa whispered. It knows we're leaving. Ahead of us stood a massive iron door. Rust covered every inch. Across its surface, someone had carved a single sentence. Do not let it reach the church. What church? Grandpa didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out an old brass key. His hands shook violently. This door has never been opened. Then why are we opening it now? He looked straight into my eyes. Because your mother. He paused. Opened it once. The key turned. The lock clicked. The heavy iron door slowly creaked open. A freezing wind rushed out from the darkness beyond. Then, somewhere deep inside the tunnel, a woman whispered, Noah, I've been waiting for you. The freezing wind rushed through the tunnel with enough force to extinguish the lantern Grandpa had just lit. Darkness swallowed us. Only my flashlight remained. Its beam barely reached the other side of the tunnel. The passage stretched farther than I expected. Stone walls curved inward. Water dripped from the ceiling. Every sound echoed. Every breath felt too loud. Grandpa slowly stepped through the iron doorway. Stay close. I nodded. The heavy door slammed shut behind us. The sound shook the entire tunnel. I rushed back. The handle wouldn't move. We're locked in. Grandpa didn't even turn around. I know. You knew? There was never another way, I swallowed. So we're trapped? He finally looked back. Only until sunrise. My stomach tightened. The tunnel continued for several hundred feet before opening into an enormous underground chamber. I stopped walking. This is impossible. The room looked older than anything I'd ever seen. Massive stone pillars supported the ceiling. Ancient symbols covered every wall. Hundreds of melted candles surrounded a circular platform carved into the floor. At the center stood a broken stone altar. Above it hung an enormous iron cross, except it wasn't hanging anymore. It had been bent almost completely in half. Grandpa stared at it. It finally broke free. What broke free? He didn't answer. Instead, he walked toward the altar. Resting on top was an old leather-bound Bible. Its cover had almost completely rotted away. He carefully opened it. Inside, someone had hidden dozens of folded letters. The oldest was dated October 14th, 1883. Grandpa handed it to me. Read it. The paper nearly crumbled in my hands. The handwriting was shaky. If anyone finds this, do not trust the woman who cries outside your door. She remembers every face she steals, every child she takes, every family she destroys. She is not a ghost. She is not a demon. She is hunger wearing a human face. I looked up. Who wrote this? My great-great-grandfather. He was the first Carter to survive her. Another letter slipped from the Bible. This one was newer, 1978. Grandpa froze before I even opened it. I remember that year. The letter read, Tonight she took my wife. Tomorrow she will return looking exactly like her. If I open the door, I lose my soul. If I don't, I lose my heart. The signature at the bottom made my chest tighten. William Carter. Grandpa. You wrote this? He slowly nodded. I buried your grandmother that same night. Silence filled the chamber. Then a child's voice echoed behind us. Grandpa? We spun around. Standing near the entrance was a little boy, 7 years old. Brown hair, blue jacket, mud on his shoes. I couldn't breathe. It was me. Not someone who looked like me. Me. Exactly as I remembered myself. The child smiled. Grandpa. You promised we'd go fishing. Grandpa whispered. Don't answer. The little boy tilted his head. Grandpa, why are you crying? His voice, every word, every tiny movement, matched my memories perfectly. Even the scar on his knee. I had never told anyone about that scar. The boy stepped closer. I've been waiting, Grandpa suddenly shouted. Close your eyes. I obeyed instantly. A scream exploded through the chamber. Not from the child, from something much larger, something furious. The temperature dropped. The scream echoed for what felt like forever. When Grandpa finally spoke, "You can look now." The boy was gone. Only muddy footprints remained, leading deeper into the tunnel. Grandpa stared at them. It wants us to follow. So we don't. He shook his head. We have no choice. The footprints led us through another stone corridor. After several minutes, we reached a wooden door. Unlike everything else underground, this one looked almost new. There was no handle, only a single sentence carved across the center. Memories are the key. What does that mean? Grandpa slowly closed his eyes. It means only someone it remembers can enter. Before I could react, the door unlocked by itself. A slow creak echoed through the tunnel. Beyond it was a room that shouldn't exist. My childhood bedroom. Every poster, every book, every toy, exactly where I'd left them. I stood frozen. This can't be real. Grandpa grabbed my shoulder. It isn't. But don't touch anything. The room smelled exactly like my childhood home. Fresh laundry, pine wood, Mom's cinnamon candles. A framed photograph sat on the nightstand. I picked it up before Grandpa could stop me. It showed my mother, holding me as a baby. But something was wrong. There were 3 people in the photo. Mom, baby Noah, and the woman standing behind us, smiling. Her eyes were completely black. I dropped the frame. The glass shattered immediately. The bedroom disappeared. Walls melted into darkness. Furniture dissolved like smoke. The illusion was gone. We were standing inside another stone chamber. Grandpa cursed under his breath. It tricked us. A deep rumble shook the floor. Cracks spread across the ceiling. Dust poured down around us. Then footsteps. Heavy, slow, closer than ever before. Not one pair. Several. I counted 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 5. Shapes emerged from the darkness. Every one of them looked like someone I loved. My mother, my father, my grandfather, even me. Each one smiled. Each one spoke at the same time. Noah. Come home. The voices blended into one. The sound made my ears ring. Grandpa pulled a small silver knife from his coat. Run! The copies rushed toward us. Not running. Gliding. As if their feet never touched the ground. Grandpa slashed the first one. Its skin split open. Instead of blood, black smoke poured out. The creature shrieked. The others kept coming. I grabbed a rusted metal pipe from the ground and swung with everything I had. The copy of my father collapsed. Its body twisted unnaturally. Bones cracked backward. Its face melted. Then it stood back up, smiling wider than before. They don't die, I shouted. Grandpa answered without looking back. I know. Then what do? We survive. A deafening roar erupted behind the creatures. Everything stopped. Even the copies froze, slowly. They turned toward the darkness. Something much larger was approaching. The footsteps shook the chamber. One after another. The copies stepped aside, as though making room. Then she appeared, not wearing my mother's face anymore, not pretending. Her true form towered nearly 8 feet tall. Long black hair dragged across the floor. Her arms reached almost to her knees. Her smile stretched from ear to ear. Dozens of empty black eyes slowly opened across her neck, and every one of them locked onto me. She smiled, then whispered my name. Noah. I remember the day you were born. My blood ran cold, because somehow I knew she was telling the truth. But that wasn't the most terrifying truth. because what Noah was about to discover next would change everything he believed about his family forever. To find out what happens next, make sure to subscribe to our channel and stay with us for the next episode. Thanks for watching, and remember, not every knock at the door should be answered.